Cupboards Full of Hope. A Suburban Prepper's Guide to Surviving Blackouts, Beans and Bargain Bins by Taylor Audiobooks, narrated by me, Dave. A husband, father, amateur survivalist, professional tea drinker. This audiobook contains mild prepping, moderate sarcasm, and at least 3 fire hazards. Listener discretion is optional. So, about this mini-series. When the lights go out in a sleepy UK suburb, one middle-aged man decides he's had enough of being unprepared. With no budget, no clue, and a shed full of "that might come in handy," yes, junk, Dave, that's me, sets out to prep his family for the worst. One fire hazard at a time, full of real-life prepping hacks, family mayhem, and enough tears to fill your water butt. This comedy series is perfect for anyone who's ever thought, maybe I should be doing something. You don't need a bunker. Just water, beans, and a bit of bottle. They say every journey begins with a single step. Mine began with a kettle, or rather the realization that I couldn't boil one. Power cut, Wednesday night, rain on the window, dog on the sofa, and me in the kitchen, staring at the kettle like it had betrayed me. No lights, no telly, no tea. I looked outside. The whole street was out. Neighbour across the road was fumbling with a head torch, trying to unlock his garage. He gave me a look like as if I was going to mug him. And that's when it hit me. We're never more than one blackout away from realising how little we actually know. I didn't call it prepping at first. Sounds a bit American, doesn't it? All bunkers and guns. Me, I just wanted a cuppa when the power went. It started small. A wind-up torch from the camping shop. A USB power bank that claimed to charge a phone 3 times. It barely managed to, but I told the wife it was an investment. Then I built my first rocket stove in the garden. 4 bricks, 1 baking tray, bit of leftover kindling from last bonfire night, boiled a pan of water like a caveman with GCSE in physics. Worked a treat. Sarah said I was going mad. The kids filmed it and put it on TikTok, got 6 likes. 1 was from my mum. But that's the thing about this whole prepping lark. It's not about fear. It's about readiness, and in our house that starts with a brew. This is the story of how I started prepping, 1 homemade gadget, 1 minor disaster, and 1 cold cuppa at a time. Chapter 1. The Rocket Stove Trials. The next morning, I did what any rational man would do after a blackout. I Googled how to boil water if the world ends. You'd be amazed what's out there. People in forests lighting fires with chewing gum wrappers and car batteries. A bloke in Sweden cooking a lasagna on a hot rock. 1 woman in Kent boiling pasta on a barbecue made from a shopping trolley. I wasn't ready for that level of madness, but I did find something called a rocket stove. 4 bricks, bit of tin foil, heat goes up, water boils, sounded manageable, sounded like something I could build before doing the school run. So I did. Drove to Wickes, told the lad in the apron I needed fire bricks. He said, "Is it for a pizza oven?" I said, "Sort of." He looked at me with a cocked eye. I said no more. So I picked up 4 solid ass bricks, 1 metal baking tray. The cheap kind, of course. I'm not the Bank of bloody England besides. Don't want her indoors, knowing how much I'm spending. A bag of kindling and a packet of hobnobs. Morale is key in survival situations. Back home, I cleared a space on the patio, Sarah stuck her head out the back door. "What are you doing?" "Building something practical and energy efficient. You're playing with bricks as if it's Lego and a roasting tin." "Exactly." I stacked the bricks in an L shape. 2 on the bottom, 1 vertical as a chimney, made a fire chamber with twigs, popped a baking tray on top as a base for the pan, lit it, and waited. 20 minutes in, smoke everywhere. I'd forgotten to drill a hole in the tray. The flame had nowhere to go. It just wheezed underneath like an asthmatic dragon. Ben came outside. "Dad, is that supposed to happen?" "Absolutely," I said. "This is only phase 1. He looked impressed for about 12 seconds, until the tray buckled in the heat like an old pub table and dumped the water onto the bricks. Steam shot up. I jumped back. The dog barked like I was being mugged by the barbecue. Sarah reappeared, folded arms, raised eyebrow. "Did you just steam clean the patio?" "Trial run," I said. I adjusted the design, took the tray off, put a grill rack from the oven on top instead, tried again. This time, success. Flames straight up, pan steady, water bubbling like it meant business. I'd made fire. Primitive, I know, but efficient, slightly off-centre. But working. Ben gave me a thumbs up and called it Dad's lava cooker, and we agreed not to tell his mates. Later that night, I made tea with that boiled water, just to prove a point. It tasted faintly of smoke, victory, and maybe brick dust. But it was mine. Chapter 2. The Butterbean Incident. Every prepper book says the same thing. Store what you eat what you store. Sounds sensible until you realise that what you actually eat is mostly biscuits, pasta, and whatever's left in the fridge, which is normally not much, but I wanted to start strong, practical, grown up, so I made a list. Long shelf life, high calories, kid-friendly, first item, tinned beans. Cannot go wrong with beans. Then I saw they were on offer. Butter beans, 12 for 4 pounds. I panicked. I don't even like butter beans. No one does. Not really. But something happened in my brain. Some weird mix of budgeting, panic buying, and that little voice that says, "Be the man your family can rely on in a blackout." So yeah, I went and bought 4 packs. 48 tins. Didn't even check the expiry dates. Just loaded the trolley like I was in the show Supermarket Sweep. Sarah phoned while I was at the checkout. "Pick up toilet roll," she said. "Yeah, I think we might need them," I replied. She didn't get the joke. Back home, I cleared a shelf in the garage, wrote "food reserve" on a plastic tub in marker pen, and stacked the tins like I was stocking a nuclear bunker. Jake walked in. "You building a shrine?" he said. "No, they're butter beans." He looked at the stack. Sniffed. That's one of his put-downs without comment. Ben added his own label. "Do not open until the end of days." That night I tried to cook a tin. Fried them with garlic and bacon. Even added paprika. Still tasted like pebbles in gravy. But I ate it. Every last spoonful. Because when you're the man in charge of family survival, you swallow a lot, pride included. Later, Sarah opened the garage door to put out the recycling. "Why does the garage smell like a school canteen?" "Security," I said. She shut the door and muttered something about counselling. Chapter 3. Tea light heater disaster. Now there's something noble about trying to warm your house with fire and clay, something primal, Ancestral? There's also something deeply daft about balancing flower pots on a bread tin full of candles in a carpeted living room. I found the idea on YouTube. DIY emergency heater, it said. 4 tea lights, 1 bread loaf tin, 2 terracotta flower pots. Supposedly it captures the heat and radiates it out like a miniature radiator. I thought, brilliant, cheap, safe, smells faintly of IKEA. Sarah was at work, kids at school. I had time. I set it up on the coffee table. Tin on the bottom, 4 candles inside. Yep, I did the 4 candles joke to myself. Sad, I know. Small flower pot balanced upside down on top. Big pot over that, resting on ceramic spacers I made from coasters. Lit the candles. Watched the flames flicker. Waited for the warmth. 10 minutes in, barely lukewarm. 15 minutes, top pot hot to the touch. Encouraging. 20 minutes, room smelled like a yoga retreat run by arsonists. I was just starting to feel smug when the cat jumped on the table. She nudged aside. The flower pots wobbled. Then, like some sort of slow-motion pottery disaster film, the whole contraption slid off the coasters and landed on the carpet. Flames didn't leap, thank God, but 1 tea light tipped over, stayed lit and started to melt the shag carpet. I leapt across the table, rugby tackled the tin, blew out the candles, burnt my knuckles, and kicked the whole mess into the big plant pot in the corner like I was scoring a last-minute goal at Wembley. The dog barked. I swore. The fire alarm beeped once, hesitated, then gave up. Safety lesson number 1. Don't put experimental heat sources on IKEA furniture. When Sarah got home, she stared at the scorch mark on the carpet. Explain. Science experiment, I said, and no, I didn't pass. She just shook her head and went to put the kettle on, then shouted, "Why is there loads of soil in the kitchen sink?" I cocked a deafin and went to the bathroom, sharpish. Chapter 4. The Loo Bucket Challenge. Toilets. One of civilization's greatest inventions. The thing no one wants to think about until it stops working. Prepping guides call it sanitation management. I call it the bucket of doom. I built it on a Saturday morning while Sarah was out and the kids were playing Fortnite. 1 sturdy 20-litre builder's bucket, 1 snap-on toilet seat found online under festival camping, a box of black bin liners. 1 tub of clumping cat litter, lavender scented. We have standards. Ben watched me from the kitchen. Is this another doomsday project? No, son. This is for when the water stops flowing and society crumbles. He blinked slowly with a look of uncertainty. I labelled the lid for emergencies only in big red letters. Tried a test run in the garage, fully clothed, don't worry. Surprisingly sturdy, bit echoey, not ideal acoustics. The cat sniffed it once and walked off offended. Ellie wandered in later. What's that? Emergency toilet. Can I decorate it? Sure. She got a sticker book. Now it says Survivor Throne and has 3 unicorns on the lid. Practical use. Line with a bag, sprinkle some litter, do your business, tie it up, bin it properly, not glamorous, but better than the alternative. Jake flat out refused. I'll just hold it, he said, forever if I have to. Sarah inspected the build. Is it leak-proof? As long as no one tips it over. She sighed. Better than digging a hole in the garden, I suppose. Chapter 5. Rain Dance in a Wheelie Bin. Water. You can survive 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water, which is a problem if Thames Water goes off and all you've got in the fridge is half a Diet Coke and some milk. This prepping step was Sarah approved. She's always said we should do something with the garden other than let the dandelions unionise. So I pitched it as eco-friendly rain capture. She raised one eyebrow. Is this going to involve bricks again? No, I said proudly. Plastic this time. Dave's rainwater kit. Old water butt, free off Facebook Marketplace. Previously used for fish, smelled like Billingsgate. Downpipe diverter kit. Kitchen sieve pair of Sarah's old tights. She donated them with great ceremony. Lid from a storage box, duct tape. Obviously, I fitted the diverter to the drain pipe out back. Took 3 attempts and 1 YouTube video titled How Not to Flood Your Cavity Wall. Next, I placed the tights inside the sieve as a pre-filter. It looked a bit like a medieval chastity device for plumbing, but it worked. First rainfall, success. A lovely glug 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 sound as water poured in. The cat watched it like it was haunted. The dog tried to drink from the overflow and sneezed for 10 minutes. I dipped a cup in to check it. Cloudy, earthy, slight tang of algae. Would I drink it raw? God, no. But after a boil and a filter, it was passable. Ellie called it witch's juice. Jake said I was one tinfoil roll away from becoming a conspiracy theorist. Sarah, to be fair, was impressed. Better than that bucket toilet. High praise, I said. We filled a few old juice bottles, labelled them, stored them in the shed. Ben made a sign. Emergency potion storage. He's big into Dungeons and Dragons lately. Chapter 6. The Biscuit Tin of Destiny. Every prepper needs a blackout box, something ready to go when the lights go out. Torches, batteries, matches, snacks, hope. I made mine out of a tin of shortbread Sarah got for Christmas. The shortbread was long gone. The tin lived on. I started gathering essentials like a squirrel in a sail. 2 torches, 1 worked, 4 candles, no joke this time. A box of matches in a sandwich bag, to keep dry, clever I thought. A wind-up radio I bought for £3.50 and never tested. 3 AA batteries I took from the DVD remote. We don't use it much, so won't be missed just yet. 1 emergency Kit Kat. Ben added a glow stick from Halloween. Jake slipped in a packet of chewing gum. Ellie, bless her, snuck in a note that said, "You got this, Dad." I almost cried. But then I found she'd also drawn a poo emoji on the back. I put it all under the stairs, right next to the wrapping paper and Sarah's collection of reusable bags. I wrote, "Do not touch, emergency only," on the lid in permanent marker. Sarah replied with her own sticky note underneath, touch of death and marital discomfort. First real test came the following Thursday. 7:43 p.m, everything went dark, power cut, kids screamed, dog barked, Sarah tripped over the cat. And me. I calmly opened the cupboard, lifted the sacred tin and said, "I've got this." The torch worked, the matches didn't, I didn't use a striker. The Kit Kat was slightly melted but morale boosting. The glow stick? Bent it, cracked it, and nothing. Ben said, "It's just a stick now." We sorted lighting candles with the gas hob lighter, sat round the kitchen table playing cards by tea light. Jake complained. Ellie cheated. Sarah relaxed. I felt like the hero of a very mild apocalypse. Power came back 23 minutes later. Still, I was ready. Chapter 7. Bubble Wrap and Blanket Thoughts, aka Insulation on a Budget. Heating bills were going up as fast as my phone data usage. I needed a plan. Central heating, too pricey. Gas fire, temperamental. So I turned to the one material man has always trusted, bubble wrap. I'd read online that bubble wrap could insulate windows, traps air, reflects heat, reduces drafts, sounds like science. I raided the cupboard under the stairs. We had a large roll of Amazon packaging, one spray bottle, a roll of duct tape, of course. Ben joined me, eager to help. We doing DIY science or just annoying Mum? A little of both, I replied. We sprayed the window with water, stuck on the wrap, then pressed it flat with a spatula. Worked a treat. Ellie came in. Why are the windows wearing cling film? Insulation. Cool. Can I do my bedroom? I hesitated, but then thought, why not? Can't take all the blame. Soon we were full throttle. Sarah came home to bubble wrap on 3 windows, fleece blankets pinned over doors, draft excluders made from stuffed tights, and Ellie wearing a sleeping bag like a coat. She paused in the hallway, took in the scene and said, "Have we joined a cult?" I said, "No. We've joined the resistance against the heating bills." She shook her head and went upstairs. Slower than usual, because I'd stuffed her slippers with heat packs. That night, the lounge was the warmest it had been in weeks. Jake came down from his igloo-like bedroom to defrost his hands. The dog curled up under the fleece draped over the dining table like it was a Mongolian yurt. Only downside. Couldn't see out the windows. The postman got the fright of his life when I peeled back a corner to say hello. Chapter 8. Bug-in, Day of the Indoors, aka 24 hours without shops, screens or sanity. The prepping world talks a lot about bugging out. Grab your bag, head to the hills, live off moss and optimism. But me? I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted to stay put. I know my surroundings, after all. This is my castle. No power, no screens, no going out. Just one house, one day, one family. What could go wrong? I told them at breakfast. No phones, no tablets, no telly. We're doing a bug-in. Jake looked up mid-toast bite. Are we being punished? No, son. We're preparing. Ellie asked, "Can I still draw?" Yes. Can I draw how much I hate this idea? Absolutely, I said. The rules. No electricity, except fridge. Sarah vetoed fridge loss. No leaving the house, no internet, no takeaway, no whining, ignored instantly. I handed out roles. Sarah, morale officer, Ben, water monitor, Ellie, entertainment officer, Jake, grumpy passive resistance commander. 9 a.m. We played cards. 9:45. Jake tried to sneak his phone behind a cushion. 10:15. Ben built a Lego trap for looters, or possibly the dog. 11 o'clock. Ellie staged a protest for chocolate rations. By noon, we'd eaten through 1/3 of the biscuit stash and 2/3 of our patience. Without screens, the house got noisy, like actual noisy, talking, arguing, singing, And the weird thing? We got used to it. By evening, we cooked tinned soup on the gas hob, played Monopoly by candlelight. Told stories like it was the 1970s. Ellie's involved a squirrel uprising. Sarah admitted over a cuppa, "This is actually not that awful." I said nothing. I didn't want to break the spell. By 10 p.m, lights still off, kids asleep, dog snoring, house calm. We made it. Chapter 9. Candles, Smoke, and a Mild Panic, aka Fire Safety for the Frantically Underprepared. There's a romance to candlelight. It softens the shadows, quiets the mood. And, if you're me, turns every surface into a potential fire hazard. It began with a trip to Panned Land. I was meant to get bin liners. Came back with 3 packs of tea lights, 2 novelty candles, one shaped like a parrot, a mini fire extinguisher the size of a carrot. Sarah said, "What happened to the bin bags?" Forgot I said, but we're protected from fire in the dark now. That night, I set the mood. 4 tea lights on saucers in the living room, 1 parrot candle on the mantelpiece, just for class, matches stored in a mug labelled Lightbringer, fire blanket on standby, still in packaging. We gathered round like Victorians waiting for Sherlock Holmes. Then I reached to adjust the curtains. Sleeve met flame, flame met fleece, panic met pitch. I yelped, flapped, spun in a circle and smacked my arm on the bookshelf. Ben grabbed the fire blanket, still in its plastic. Sarah calmly blew out every candle like it was a birthday party. The dog barked. Jake filmed it. I had a singed cuff and a bruised ego. After that, I got serious. Dave's home fire safety upgrade. Replaced all open candles with LED tea lights, flicker mode on for drama, properly mounted fire extinguisher in the kitchen, taught the kids how to use the fire blanket after unwrapping it, smoke alarm tested with actual smoke, burnt toast, thanks Jake. Sarah said, "If we survived your candle phase, we can survive anything." It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't Instagram worthy, but it was safe. And in a blackout, that's what matters most. Chapter 10. Charge, or not, aka the Great Power Bank Rotation Scheme. In a blackout, electricity is king. Forget gold, forget cash. You show me someone with 40% battery and I'll show you a god among men. I'd been collecting power banks like they were Pokemon. Free ones, cheap ones, one shaped like a llama that I won in a raffle. I had a drawer full of the things. Problem was, half of them were dead. So I built a system, got an old kitchen shelf unit from the shed, wiped off the cobwebs, screwed it to the wall above the dog's bed. The power station was born. 2 boxes, charged, green label, hopeful, empty, red label, shameful. Every Sunday I'd rotate them. Except I didn't. I forgot. A lot. One day, I staged a test. "Right, kids, pretend the power's out. Phone's off. Who's got charge?" Jake rolled his eyes. "I'm always on low battery." Ben scrambled for a bank. Plugged it in. Nothing. Tried another. Dead. Third one, heated up like it was making toast. Ellie grubbed her glow stick instead. I stared at my labelled shelf of lies and thought, this is how empires fall. I learned something that day. Prepping isn't just buying stuff, it's checking, rotating, remembering, and having a little notepad titled, "Stuff I Definitely Swear I'll Charge." I sorted it out properly after that. chucked the dodgy banks, labelled everything with masking tape and a Sharpie, made a checklist, batteries, torches, radios, weekly cycle, Jake called it, Dad's nerd chart. Sarah laminated it for me. True love, that is. And that, dear listener, brings us to the end of the beginning. Epilogue, a cupboard full of hope, where we get a bit serious, but not too serious. I started this journey because the kettle wouldn't boil. I didn't have a plan, or a budget, or frankly, a clue. Just a gut feeling that maybe, just maybe, being ready for the odd wobble in the world wasn't such a bad idea. And along the way, I nearly set the house on fire. Cooked food on bricks, built a loo that still smells faintly of cat litter. Learned that bubble wrap isn't subtle, and discovered that my family, in their own loud, weird, brilliant way, could roll with it. This isn't about bunkers or doomsday, it's about knowing where the torch is, keeping enough food to last longer than 3 days in the cupboard, teaching your kids that it's okay to plan for the what-ifs, and maybe, just maybe, making it fun. So whether you're in a flat, a semi, or a farmhouse with a goat called Kevin, here's my advice. Start small. Test things, laugh at your mistakes, and never ever trust a llama-shaped power bank. Thanks for listening to Cupboards Full of Hope. Stay warm, stay weird, and always boil the kettle when you still can.